If you're anything like me, you have a folder full of unfinished beats that have yet to see the light of day, but you've been tinkering and you've been adjusting levels until you have the perfect 4-bar clip. Sound familiar? Yeah, let's talk. Welcome back, creatives. If you're new to Music Technologist, I'm Jarrell, and I make weekly tip and tutorial videos as well as product reviews on all things music production. If you enjoy that kind of content, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can be the first to catch the next one. I wanted to make this video because I feel like many of us producers can get caught in the cycle of creating and never completing. Let me explain what I mean. We make art in isolation and for whatever reason can't muster up the determination to see the project all the way through. And that is unfortunate because we're missing out on one of the most fulfilling parts of the process, letting our art go. Failing to do this can be harmful to your creativity in 3 main ways. Number 1 is it can leave your skills underdeveloped because you never learn how to properly sequence. You develop the skills you practice. When you keep making tracks that are about this long, and I do this all the time, where you put so much effort into making that clip sound so good. You add in your bass, you've got your chords, you've got your drums, you've got all kinds of stuff. And then after you've done that, you go in, you start mixing that. You start making sure all the levels are perfect. You start doing things like side chaining and compression and all of that. And you haven't sequenced. If you keep practicing making the perfect 4-bar clip, that is what you will be good at. If you practice sequencing more, you can start to develop those skills and get better at that. For me personally as a producer, one of the things about sequencing that always scared me is I wasn't sure about how it should be formatted. I didn't know for this style of beat, because I make a lot of different styles. And I'm like, for this style of track, how long should it be? How many verse slots? How many chorus slots? Should they be longer? Should they be shorter verses? And it gets a little bit overwhelming because you're just thinking about the creativity of it all. And thinking about all the sequencing can start to really bog you down before you make any progress. And that brings me to point number 2. You can end up burnt out creatively because you've poured so much effort into songs that you can't fully enjoy yet because they're not complete. I don't know about you, but I enjoy making music that I like to listen to. And sometimes I can get trapped in the cycle of listening and listening and listening to something that I've made that's short, and it keeps me from seeing it all the way through. Honestly, as important as it is as a producer to enjoy what you make, it's even more important to make music that people enjoy to listen to with you. And if you never release these tracks, if you keep sitting on them, people aren't going to get that opportunity. You can show them your snippet, but it's really not that impressive until you've put in the effort to see it all the way through. Which brings me to point number 3, you keep yourself from building your portfolio. Now, I have a list of my tracks, my project files, and it's long. And a lot of those are unfinished beats. That's not my portfolio. My portfolio is what I've finished and what I've released. And when I say releasing, I don't mean that it has to go up on Spotify and Apple Music and stuff. What I mean is that it needs to be out there in the world. People need to get the chance to hear it, even if it's just people close to you. But for those of you that are serious producers and you're looking at possibly making beat sales and things like that, if you don't have a portfolio of work, you don't give people the opportunity to hear who you are sonically as a producer, and that matters. So I've given you a lot of bad news. Let me give you some ways that we can combat this early on. First, commit to minimal mixing until the track is fully sequenced. Let me explain. When you're working on that track, just keep throwing in your raw ideas until you get something that you like. When you get there, don't jump right into mixing. Yes, you want to make sure things aren't obnoxiously loud or way too soft, but don't go into the fine tuning. I am so guilty of this. I do it all the time. But you need to focus on the sequencing first. Sequence it out, because actually that'll inform how you mix the track. Because once it's sequenced out, you can hear what the track is supposed to sound like and really make smart adjustments. Because if you make the adjustments first, when you go back into the verse section, say, things might not sound right. So sequence first. Number 2, use block sequencing. I wish I had started doing this sooner. It's really freeing. So what I mean by this is when you're making your beat, lay out all your tracks, layer them the way you want them, throw in more stuff than you need. Think about how you might want to use different instruments in different sections later on, and just throw it all together, layer them vertically, and then duplicate everything. Boom, 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 all the way through. Make tons of patterns. Then once you've done that, you can go back and start to delete certain tracks. What you can do, the best way to do it, honestly, I think, is to mute things and listen to how certain things sound when they're more sparse, and find out which of the patterns you've made sound best together. And then once you've made that decision, now you can start deleting certain tracks for certain parts of the track. So the benefit of this is you get length before you get into depth, and this can speed up your music production. Number 3 is set time parameters for yourself. I'm generally not too much into timed challenges for production, just because I feel like sometimes it can kill my creativity. But there's something freeing about knowing I only have this long to make a full-length track. Does the mixing need to be perfect? No, and remind yourself of that when you set yourself a time limit. I want to make a track that is sequenced well and has good instruments in this amount of time, and I will mix after. So one example of this is the video I put up was me and my brother Noble making a track together, and we really went at it, and it took us about an hour and a half to make that track. We didn't set that as our time limit, but we really wanted to make something quick, and that helped influence the way we went about it. We were a little bit more focused on getting the sounds we wanted in and starting to sequence. Most importantly, don't let your creative ideas die in your DAW. Go back and finish those songs that are dope but unfinished. That is it, you guys. I hope you found this video helpful. In the comments section, let me know, is this something that you guys really struggle with? I feel like I can't be the only one. If this isn't something you struggle with, let me know in the comments, what are some of the things you struggle with the most as a producer? And I'd be happy to share any advice I can, anything I can do to help you guys get creative. So, creatives, go out there and finish making something dope, and I'll see you in the next video.